Okay. All right, and we are live.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We are looking at SB 830, picking up from where we left off end of last week. We are on page 6 of the bill as it came over from the Senate, section 2, specifically the provision that says that MDE in consultation with DLS and the Extension Program, University of Maryland, will look at the implications of delegating MDE's authority related to well and septic systems permitting to MDH. And so a question came up as to what was the fiscal note from the first reader when there was language in the bill about that MDE was to contract with the Extension Program. So, Kristen, could you tell us what you found?
Sure. In the original fiscal note, it estimated that to contract with the extension would be $87,500.
Okay.
Can you say that again? I'm sorry. That's the additional cost?
That would be the cost to contract out.
And what's the cost if they don't? I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
No, go ahead.
So the way the bill came over with the department conducting the study in consultation with DLS and the University of Maryland extension program is estimated to be able to be handled with existing resources. But to contract out the study to pay for, another entity to do it, it would have the $87,000 fiscal.
Right.
And can you remind me why we were changing it to contract out, or is that because the Senate?
So I'm not sure there's no members have suggested an amendment to change it, but there was a concern that that MACO and the health directors brought up that they were concerned with the Department of the Environment taking the lead for the study because they're one of the two parties in the current arrangement. And so they were suggesting that that an independent third party conduct this study.
Okay, thank you.
Right. So that's the reason why we wanted to go back and look at the original fiscal note to see what that would cost. I know that Gabby and Les from MDE are here. Do either of you want to weigh in on this issue?
Les, unless you have something you want to add. Yeah, so we spoke with the sponsor with MDH previously, and I think there was a little bit of concern about this. This is before it crossed over. And I think that's why they wanted to have DLS included as kind of being that third party entity to kind of address that concerns. I think MDE is in a position that we are open. We are fine with the MACO's amendments if they don't want MDE to be the entity doing this kind of study. We would just prefer not to be the one providing the funding if that is the case. If there is going to be a third party entity doing it, we don't want to be the one to have to pay for it.
So I guess, Gabby, what you're saying is you don't want it to have to come out of MDE's budget for the cost of paying for a contract.
Correct.
With the extension program, the Ag and Food Systems Extension Program. Is that right?
Correct. Les, anything else you want to add on your end?
I think the only thing I will add is that MDE has committed that we're going to work with all of the involved parties, both MACO, the health directors, the health officers, and the Conference of Environmental Health Directors as part of this study. And we're already moving forward with a similar type of review anyway. So it will certainly be a collaborative effort if you were to move the bill in its current form.
Okay. Any other, let's see, Delegate Terrazza.
Sorry, I messed up with the mute button. Okay, so I'm sorry to be so confused here, but is the current form that Les Knapp is referring to, that's with the MACO amendments, or that's without the MACO amendments?
The current form is the bill that's posted on the screen, the way in the form that it came over from the Senate, where the Department of the Environment is leading the study in consultation with DLS and the University of Maryland Agriculture and Food Systems Extension Program.
Okay, and MDE is saying they're fine with it as is.
They're fine with this setup, exactly, no changes.
I'm just getting confused because when I see Les Knapp, I think MACO.
Sorry about that.
It's taken all of us a little while to make that transition, so.
Okay,
Okay. Are you good, Delegate Traza?
yeah, I mean, I'm fine with it as is. I
You're
don't,
fine as is. Okay. And any other questions before I recognize Delegate Morgan? You good? Okay. Delegate Morgan? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I talked to both the health officers for both Calvert and St. Mary's about this bill, and they prefer to have the outside consultant filling it in the overall scheme of things. They would have a third party rather than having the state agency watch over it. So 2 counties would prefer the LHOs want the independence.
Okay, so you're saying, so Delegate Morgan, you're saying that they said that they would prefer the original language, I guess,
That is
or
correct.
maybe that shall contract with the
Yes.
University of Maryland Extension Program. Okay. Okay, any other questions?
Move the bill? Or do we?
Yeah, or does, I guess I should say, Delegate Morgan, do you have do you want to make an amendment?
I'd like to amend the bill that allows the third party to be contracted out to perform these studies in consultation then with MDE and everybody else.
wait, what?
Kristen, looking at the language.
The original language that came over required the Department of the Environment to contract with University of Maryland Ag and Food Systems Extension Program. No direction to consult with any other entity. I mean, well, they would involve stakeholders as part of the study, but just the language was just the Department of Environment must contract with UMD.
Right, and I guess I'm looking at the rest of the original bill, everything is in terms of the work is to be done by the extension program as the consultant, so it's the contractor.
Correct. Of course, yeah, conforming changes would need to be made to that.
Okay, Delegate Love.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think Christian just clarified it. I want to make sure to Delegate Morgan's point that I don't think it's an outside consultant. It shall consult, or it shall contract with the University of Maryland Agriculture and Food Systems Extension Program, and they're still a part of it. So it's not like we're taking any outside consultant out. Is that correct?
Correct. They're still part of, they would be one of the entities that MDE would work with. And same with DLS. DLS would, in their experience with reviewing government activities, could help, provide guidance on like what kind of questions to ask and how to formulate this study to get the, to just have a complete study.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Right. Delegate Terrazzo.
I was just confused by what Delegate Morgan was asking. I thought he was asking for us to change it to what I thought the bill already said. So I'm a little confused by that, but they could, MDE can always consult out, hire a consultant out if that's what they want to do. It's just assigned to MDE, right?
Right, but I think the concern that the locals are having is that the Department of the Environment would be leading a study when they're one of the parties, the two parties in the current delegation arrangement. that they would be taking the lead.
Okay, so was Delegate Morgan, and I apologize, but were you saying you wanted it to change from it being an MDE?
No, I think Chris hit the nail on the head, that it's sort of the study is the fox watching the hen house proverbially. And they want to have a third party in there. And I'm looking at the, on page 7, line 3, and they crossed off the University of Maryland Agriculture Food System Program. It seems like they took them out there on line 3 and also on line 6, but they're still in the page 6 on line 22 and 23.
That language is just
Okay.
taken out because the bill, as first introduced, required University of Maryland to conduct the study. And so the language, they're still in subsection A, certain lines 22 through 26 on page 6. They're still named as an entity that the department would consult with. The reason for the changes on page 7 is because now it's no longer the University of Maryland leading the study, it's the Department of the Environment.
And that's where the two local health organizations have their rub. If the Maryland Ag Food System Program is doing it, they're okay. They don't like the idea of the Department of the Environment leading the study.
All right.
So
Delegate Morgan, if you don't mind, is it fair to characterize what you're proposing as an amendment this way? To on section 2A1, revert to the original language saying the Department of the Environment shall contract with the University of Maryland Ag and Food System Extension Program to study the implications, blah, blah, blah. And then on page 7, subsection 3, revert back to the original language and conducting the study, the University of Maryland Ag and Food Systems Extension Program shall consult with representatives. And then similarly, B1, line 6, on or before December 1st, 2023, the extension program shall submit, when we'll keep in, I guess we keep in the language about an interim report, et cetera.
I think the answer to that, Mr. Chairman, is yes. I think both local health organizations would agree to that.
Okay. All right. So we have a couple more hands up, and then we should. So we have a motion for the amendment as I described it. Is there a second for that? Okay, Delegate Otto. Okay. All right. So let's take the remaining questions, vote on the amendments, and then the bill. Delegate Ruth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I guess I'm confused when we talk about it being like the fox watching the hen house. Is there a reason that we don't trust MDE to do the study well here?
But Delegate Morgan, do you want to elaborate on
I
any concerns you've heard?
In talking to my local health officer, I'm no expert in this by any stretch of the imagination. They feel that they would rather have the third party conducting the study because I think they believe it would be more equitable and fair. So I'm the messenger in this case, not the.
I understand that. I mean, certainly there are situations where we do want independent investigation. This just doesn't seem to me to be one of those situations. I think MDE is, certainly, I don't see any problem with them leading it in this bill. They're consulting with DLS and with the University of Maryland Agriculture and Food Systems Program. And so I guess I'm just trying to understand what problem we're trying to solve or why we think MDE won't be, why they shouldn't be leading this. Sorry. Thanks.
Okay, Delegate Foley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I have a question, but before I get to the question, I just want to make the point that the language as it appears here doesn't prohibit engaging a third party to do the study. It just says that they're going to consult about how the study's done. So I just point that out. And my second question for Kristen, because I'm getting a little confused. So my understanding is that I understand the changes about taking out shall contract. What's So now we're bringing the Department of Legislative Services in. Why is that? I don't get that.
Their role, they have under the Department of Legislative Services is the Office of Program Evaluation and Government Accountability. So they do, as part of their duties, evaluate government actions, and they have a process in place. And I think the idea here is that they could provide guidance to ensure the Department of the Environment sets up their study in a way that's asking the right kinds of questions to understand efficiencies and issues and all of that when evaluating government, types of entities.
Okay, so that really doesn't have anything to do with the third party contractual thing. It's just another layer of consultation. Is that right?
Well, yeah, and that they would have some sort of, right, if they're not requiring, the Department of Legislative Services to conduct the study, they're just another, right, they're just another entity that would be assisting or providing guidance along for the study.
Okay, thanks. Because I was getting those two issues mixed up. Thanks.
Okay, last two comments go to Delegate Morgan, then Delegate Ruth, and please be brief because the bells are going to ring very shortly.
Yeah,
and
I'll be brief. I'm going to read the
Yeah.
letter I got from our health officer again. It says, thanks for blah, blah, blah. We're concerned with the bill as amended would suggest MDE to be a party to conduct the study. While MDE in the original language took the position that LHDs are often the culprit in delays in communications, we found that on many occasions our LHDs are waiting on MDE to do their responsibilities. I think the responsible thing to do is have the study conducted externally with adequate input from LHDs around the state. Sincerely, Dr. Brewster. I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Delegate Ruth, you have the last word.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to really briefly mention, it says on page 7 there, Department of the Environment shall consult with representatives from impacted stakeholder groups. I would assume that would include local health officers.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Thanks everyone for your feedback. So we have before us Delegate Morgan's proposed amendment. It's been seconded. Everyone who's in favor of the amendment, please raise your hand.
I'm sorry, can you just remind me what that?
Sure, let me,
Yeah.
it would, or Kristen, do you have it and you want to read it?
So yes, is the screen sharing?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so it would restore the language that has been taken out of the bill. So on page 6 in lines 22 through 26, it would then be the Department of the Environment shall contract with the University of Maryland Agriculture and Food Systems Extension Program to conduct the study. And then on page 7 in lines 3 through 5, it would require the University of Maryland Agriculture and Food Systems Extension Program to consult with the impacted stakeholder group. It would require, starting in line 6, the University of Maryland Extension to do the interim report, and similarly, language would be changed to issue a final report.
All those in favor of the proposed amendment, raise your hand, please.
Aye.
Okay, opposed?
Aye, but can I explain my vote?
Sure, if you
The
could
bells
do it
are
succinctly,
ringing.
please.
Yeah,
Okay.
just I mean, I don't see it harm in the amendment except for the cost. But there is an additional cost, fiscal cost, and if we amend this, then we have to send it back to the Senate, which raises the chances that it won't make it through by sine die. Thank you.
Move the bill as amended, Mr. Chair.
There are
Okay.
no, are you?
Wait, is it amended?
No,
I'm sorry, move the
it-
bill.
yeah, the amendment fails. So,
Second.
okay, so second for the bill.
Second.
All right. Okay, all those in favor of the bill, no amendments, at least as taking the bill as it came over from the Senate, say aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
Okay, bill passes. Thank you for everyone's discussion. We'll see you on the floor.